Hey, it's Anthony Meiser with Land Title. I came to bring you your first to know update for Longmont. So let's dive right into what's happening in Longmont this month. As you can see, average close price is down 2.2% year over year, but it's a big step up from where we were last month. So, maybe a little seasonal turbulence, but also, definitely seeing some, pain in the marketplace as far as, the sales price compressing. Now, for buyers, this is a great thing. In the last couple of years, it's bounced around fairly similar. So I think stability is probably a good word to describe that part of the market there. The one thing that's a little misleading is our condo townhouse market, because you can really see just kind of where this is compared to the last few years. We're right in line with 24 on the median. We're just barely below the average last year. It's going to bounce around a little bit, but it definitely has seen a little more turmoil than the detached market, right? The attached market has been a difficult place. If you look at it by price per square foot, this tells a very different picture. And you can see specifically in the townhouse condo market just how much that varies month to month, depending on what's selling. But if you look at the average over the course of time, it's just been a little bit of a slow erosion in the last year. So 2025 was quite a bit more difficult than it was in 24. 24 is a little better than 23 though. So we might be back into those 23 prices, but it's hard to say because we're starting the year at a pretty big drop. Now, let's look at why. Supply and demand is key here, right? If you look at the active units on the marketplace, we're at 250. We're just slightly below where we were last year, but new listings are already coming out in force, right? 124 new listings in January, way more than the last 4 years. Last year was very similar to this, so we had high seller activity early on. And if you look at how much that changes based off the pending numbers, well, pendings came out of the gate hot this year too, right? 36% more than this time last year. We had 108 units go under contract. So that's a great sign that buyers and sellers are getting out and participating in the market early. What does that mean for inventory? Well, for right now, it's at 2.1 months of inventory. It's a month's supply. That's going to be, fairly seller favored at this point, actually. Now, certain parts of the market clearly are not going to be experiencing this. Luxury, a lot of the attached market is not going to be in the same vein. But those median homes in Longmont, especially the detached ones, they're all going to feel fairly competitive right now. Now, if you look at what's going to happen coming forward, history tends to repeat itself. We do see seasonal changes. So expect as more inventory comes on the market, I don't know if you're going to see enough buyers come into the market to suck up that inventory as it comes on. So we could be in for another year of rising inventory like we saw a year ago. Hopefully, we don't see frustrated sellers by about the July mark where they pull it off the market because of this added buyer behavior. Now, I think that's all fine and dandy. What does that really mean for your buyers and sellers? It means that average days in MLS to go under contract have been higher. We're at 74. Now, this is always the worst month of the year. I mean, outside of the last 2 years where February is a little worse. I don't think you're going to see that this year because weather has been so nice, right? Activity tends to favor, when buyers are going to get out there in the marketplace. So 74 days is pretty slow right now, but it's honestly not that terrible. If you look, it should trend down all the way through June, where we will see a little bit faster paced market than we have now. Now, the percentage close price to list price, this is an interesting one. It does not include concessions and it does not include price drops, but what it can tell you is it can really tell you, buyers are much more favored in this negotiation than they were a year ago by 1.2%. So they have more negotiating power. Expect your buyers to be able to get out there and make pretty bold offers, I would say. And sellers, kind of what you're dealing with. So keep watching this number. Definitely is indicative of that. If you have any other questions, concerns, you need anything from me, I'm Anthony at Land Title. Don't hesitate to reach out, and don't forget to like and subscribe to the YouTube channel.